The 2025 Formula One season is yet to begin, but the first debates and modifications to the technical regulations have already started. The FIA faces the difficult task of negotiating with the technical offices of the 10 teams across the grid. These departments consist of hundreds of workers who look for every thousandth of a second. And this time, Red Bull have found something. However, it's not an upgrade for themselves, it's illegal parts at competitors. Some teams might have to make some changes very soon. We all know that the FIA has implemented a technical directive to regulate Flexi-wings. This has been officially included to the technical regulations. New examinations will be performed on the rear wings in Australia, followed by the front wings in Spain. However, this isn't all, as teams are fighting this once more. So, as previously noted, this enraged teams such as Red Bull, which had invested a significant portion of their resources on this region. During Bahrain testing, Red Bull's technical director reopened the issue. He criticized McLaren and Ferrari's rear wings, as well as their continued use of the mini DRS. Pierre Wache attacked Ferrari and McLaren, requesting rear wing controls, and recently raised the attention of the FIA, which wishes to resolve this issue, particularly before 2026, although this might prove to be too late for Red Bull. Bahrain testing was essential for more than just spectators who want to see cars on track for the first time. It was also the first opportunity for teams to review the solutions that other teams have been working on. While the RB21 was doing different testing, including a new wing and a redesigned floor, Red Bull's technical director spoke at a news conference and made the first allegations of the season. Ferrari and McLaren are continuing to use the mini DRS effect. It is unavoidable that someone will pay attention to these teams' back wings. They aren't the only ones under scrutiny. Mercedes has also demonstrated a clear bending movement of this component. To a lesser extent, much of the field has worked on wing flexibility. The FIA continues to monitor this area, but Tombaz's technical office has had enough of getting complaints. According to rumors, the FIA's technical office has issued an official request to the teams for new visual control measures for the rear wings, beginning in Australia. This is to track the deformation of the rear wings using their own equipment. The placement of the cameras and accompanying visual references to be applied, stickers, are apparently being discussed. This happened for a few races last year, beginning with the Belgian Grand Prix, and could now come back due to Red Bull's request. Although there is little time to confirm these changes, it is within the FIA's discretion to include a new mechanism for monitoring flex wings for the first round in Australia. In addition to those currently present, there are cameras on cars that are specifically designed to monitor rear wing movement. The goal is to determine whether the mini DRS, which was prohibited after the Baku GP, is still present on certain cars. In theory, these methods will ensure that teams do not circumvent the static checks that have been set. Furthermore, the rear wings will face stiffer tests in the future. This is notwithstanding the controversies mentioned above. But that's not all. The FIA must be decisive in this area and keep the flexing of the wings under control. They want to avoid what happened last year, when this topic became the major theme. So, as expected, in Melbourne, the beam wing bending inspections will be tightened. According to Article 3.1512b, the beam wing component, the wing located above the diffuser below the rear wing, will be exposed to a 150 Newton load perpendicular to the surface, with no deflection higher than 0.8 degrees. A test described as very restrictive by the same specialists, with the goal of minimizing material deformation while the car is in motion when compared to cold examinations. The FIA is attempting to address issues in F1, while Red Bull is specifically targeting Ferrari with this investigation. But there are more changes coming for this season. The legislator is in the process of revamping. In truth, the International Federation has been attempting to clarify various issues for some time now. On the one hand, there is the question of the behavioral procedures that each team member must adhere to. It is critical to set a good example, as younger spectators who follow the elite category of motorsport cannot be influenced negatively. However, there are some exciting new developments about the formation lap prior to the race, and then there is the issue of push-ups. The prior regulatory phrasing was deemed overly confusing and hard to read, both by the stewards and teams. The FIA will reformulate the rules for the 2025 World Championship to improve clarity and effectiveness. The alteration entails a more immediate application of the black flag with an orange disc, which formerly needed the transmission of information from the race direction to the stewards and then to the teams, resulting in a waste of time. However, from now on, race director Rui Marques will be able to directly order a driver to stop in unsafe conditions. It is unclear whether the order will be communicated directly to the driver or transmitted by the race engineer. Nonetheless, the regulation requires that any car with visible structural damage, capable of posing an urgent risk to safety, come to a stop at a safe location on the circuit. A change was also implemented in light of recent incidents that did not assure the appropriate level of safety. The FIA has also changed the starting protocols for those starting from the pit lane, along with measures for damaged cars. The former method permitted cars to skip the formation laps and only exit the pits once the grid was formed. Dynamics that allowed drivers to take advantage of legal loopholes, such as a start behind the safety car, when cars could make time and chose their tyres while the rest of the team was already required to use full wets, not to mention the potential fuel savings from a double installation lap. The FIA has attempted to provide uniformity by addressing grey situations. It is possible to create requirements that can result in clear advantages. Teams invest significant time doing rigorous studies to create components that can pass FIA static constraints and exceed track flexibility. They work on carbon skins and hence on composites, particularly in their weave. Another option, which is employed in conjunction with the one discussed above, is to work directly on the rear wing supports, which are anchored to the bottom of the vehicle. In this scenario, the measures implemented differ. As a result of successfully working on structural rigidity, a variation in the location of the entire piece is achieved. This is visible during the squat phase, when the rear of the car descends under maximum load and the single-seater reaches high speeds. As a result, the wing's incidence lowers, as does the resistance to advancement. All of this is assuming that, when the car slows down, the component in question returns to its original position and passes the static FIA testing. McLaren, particularly Ferrari, have exploited this strategy to get significant aerodynamic improvements, a change that was already implemented during the previous racing season. This is the theory of Red Bull, who was stopped by the stewards at the pre-season test in Bahrain to convey their concerns, firmly pointing the finger. The revolt conducted directly by tattooed Pierre Wache failed to produce the desired effects in Bahrain after 3 days. Currently, the FIA stewards have denied Red Bull's request. And it is precisely for this reason that the Austrian team, as our editorial crew discovered firsthand on the ground, has compiled an official and accusing file. Before the season begins, FIA officials will conduct rigorous inspections at factories in Maranello and Woking, followed by official checks at the Australian Grand Prix on next Thursday. We know Ferrari is calm in this situation, confident in his ability to fight the accusations without incident. Others might not be so safe though. What are your thoughts on these changes? Let me know in the comments down below.